We ready? Okay. All right, well, very thankful for the victory. It's a great game. We've had a bunch of those kind of games all year, a lot of close ones, a lot of them that have just come down to the wire, last play, last series, overtime twice. Just been one of those years for us. I want to give credit to Georgia Tech and the job they did. They came out really ready to play and took that 20-point lead, and we were playing extremely well. We were, just fighting for our lives, and it was good that we got 7 there right before the half. Had a chance to have the ball to start the second half, and only be down 2 scores was a good thing. Did have a touchdown call back, but we ended up getting 3 on the board. Marshall Morgan made every kick, which we had to have, and really proud of him and our snapper and holder and protection there. Just so many little things had to go just right for us to, fight our way back in there. Defense, second half, did a good job holding them to 7 points before overtime began. Just some big plays that happened. So many big plays, it's hard to think of them all, but obviously the play prior to the 4th down attempt that they had at the end was big. I don't even remember who made the tackle, but got a tackle for loss there. And who was that? Josh Harvey got it, or maybe Leonard? I don't know who it was. Was it Floyd? Floyd then. Well, they're tall and wiry, both of them, and they're both very athletic. And while we're talking about Josh Harvey, I thought he played extremely well. You got to defeat blocks, especially in the perimeter, and go make a tackle. And I thought Josh did a pretty good job of that. And I'm sure everybody else had their moments as well. But just a great game, and obviously good for Hudson to get a victory as his first start. Earned it the hard way. I think he was, he wasn't totally comfortable in the beginning. Georgia Tech was running some twists, and I think Hudson just didn't feel real comfortable in the pocket, was flushing a little bit. And later on, when we began to keep the middle of that pocket safe for him, he stood in there and made some nice throws and had some guys make great catches. And I thought Coach Bobo called a great game. And special teams, kind of hard to decide. Nothing happened that hurt us. Obviously, the extra point field goals were big. Punting, I think we punted extremely well. Adam, I think, averaged over 46 yards a punt, which was great. So, I think special teams is probably a wash for both teams, pretty much a tie. And really, the whole game was just so close, close in yardage, close in, third down conversions, close in red zone tries and success down there. I mean, it was just very, very close game, and obviously went to overtime being close on the scoreboard as well. So I'll just open it up to whoever has something.
Coach, did you feel almost like you're stealing in this game? That's probably a bad adjective, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, they really seem to have everything going for them for a long time.
Well, I knew early on offensively that we had some people open, but we just couldn't, stand in there long enough to get the ball thrown to those guys. So, I felt like it was going to be a matter of time before we could begin to make some things happen offensively. But, yeah, they played great. Scoring 4 times in the first half. And, you just never know how important it is to force a field goal. Sometimes when it's happening, it just seems like the world's falling apart. But, when you get it, like even we had it at 20 again. We had it at 20 at Auburn. And when it's at 20, it gives you a lot more hope than when it's at 28. You feel like you got a chance to get 3 scores and a lot of football to be played. So it's just a good game.
You talk about Todd, particularly his performance in overtime.
Yeah.
It looked like he really
Yeah, Todd, we kind of challenged the line. We challenged Todd. We decided we're going to run the very best, just our bread and butter plays that we believe in the most, and just see what would happen. We almost threw a pass on the first play of the second overtime, but we decided we're going to try to run that ball on first down one more time and just see, because we had the success the drive prior, and even though there's some things you might like in the passing game, there's always something that could go wrong where when you run it, the worst thing that could happen is you get stuffed at the line of scrimmage. I guess you could fumble it too, but and still have more downs to play. But it just happened where we hit a crease and they're in a pressure, they're in a blitz, and thankfully we got the ball handed off and went right up the gut.
Mark, our last punt hadn't gone down to the 1 yard line. You had it at the 20. You would have probably tried to do some more.
Yeah, I think so. If we had more space, we would have tried that. We knew that they only had 2 timeouts, so we knew that if we just didn't give up a safety, we'd be okay. We snuck the first one to try to buy a little ground, and then we knew we had enough ground to take a knee twice to force the overtime. There's no point in trying to do anything heroic.
What do you think helped kind of settle Hudson down in the second half?
Well, I think just getting the score, and I saw a couple times. It might not have been every time, but they were running some twist, and when you twist with defensive linemen, usually there's one guy that penetrates and another guy that loops around. And early on, the penetrators were pushing the pocket too much in his face, and I think that was causing him to flush. But later on, we stopped the penetrator pretty good, and it made it tougher for them to get some pressure. And I think once the center of that pocket got solidified, it helped him out a lot.
How big is this for next year, just for Hudson having?
Oh, I think it's big. I mean, this time of the year games at the end of the year certainly define this season, but I think it kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what can happen in the future, especially when you have a lot of guys returning. And, Hudson obviously getting a little bit of a head start, unfortunately with Murray's injury, but he's getting a little bit of a head start on what it's like to play in a game like that. I mean, it was good for him to live through it.
Could you speak with you too, like, what did you guys do to kind of slow their passing game down? Was that something kind of surprising?
I don't know. We really didn't do much to slow it down, in my opinion. But sometimes you just, I think we got just a little bit more pressure. I don't even know if we got a sack in the game. We might have covered just a little bit tighter. But, they threw the ball very well, and it's when you got to stop the run, the way they run it, you really don't have any free safety help. It's just everybody man to man. And then if you have any kind of play action at all, and you're trying like mad to stop the run, guys spring free, guys get open. And it's hard to put pressure on the quarterback when you're trying to stop the run. You're playing the run, you're not playing the pass. But that's the beauty of what they do, and when you could throw a catch like they did, it's a scary looking thing for a defense.
Coach, I mean, does that just speak to Hudson's character as a leader of this team now? I mean, the fact sack fly taking over for a guy like Aaron, and also down by 20 at one point.
Well, he threw one pick, obviously, and but sometimes it's hard to take a sack because you don't want to take a sack. You want to get rid of the ball, but if you get rid of the ball under duress, you could throw more picks. And I think he was patient. Even though sometimes it's a pain to take the sack and have to punt or whatever, but you live to play another down most of the time. And I think the guys, I think they trust him. I think they believe in him. They've seen him practice for 3-4 years. They know he knows what he's doing. This is going to help him settle down and play more like I think we'll see him play. He played good now, but there were some things that, he'll look at the film and just shake his head and wish he'd have done this or wish he would have done that. But he played good enough today.
What were you thinking when that ball was in the air like that?
I just waited till it hit the ground. And then the official, when he gave his signal, incomplete, that's when I could just breathe a sigh of relief.
How big is that for your D? We're talking a lot about Hudson in the offense, but that's a young defense to make not just that stop, but a few stops.
Yeah, there was some big stops, and we'd put them into some early on. We got them into some 3rd and longs, and but to their credit, they hit passes, and they just threw and caught the ball better than they have in a while, and that was problematic for us. But there were a couple big key stops. Obviously, that third down stop was big to force it to 4th and long, because I think they still could have got a first down down there, maybe 3rd and 2 or whatever it was, and had 2 downs. And I'm sure if they'd have got anything forward, they'd have just hammered it again. But we got a good stop and forced them into a passing situation and found a way to get off the field at the end.
How much do you get asked about this game versus the Gators or whoever when you're on the road?
Yeah, well, I've said it for years, but, you know, we do have a lot of rivals. Up north is Tennessee, and down south is Florida, and one direction South Carolina, the other one is Auburn, you know, but everybody agrees that Georgia Tech is the biggest rival, and it's obviously our state rival, and it means a lot to us.
Did Aaron or the doctors decide, let's not mess with, put him on the sideline this game?
I think Aaron spent Thanksgiving, I think he went to the Bobo's house, and even there wasn't a whole lot of activity, I'm sure, over there. I think he realized how much that took out of him, and to try to go to a game probably wasn't going to be wise, so he decided not to come.
You also play a bowl game somewhere, but
Right.
this season seems to have been the nuttiest stuff in my career. Maybe in Georgia history for a while.
Yeah, it has. There's been so many things that we couldn't control, obviously injuries and things of that nature, and just kind of freak injuries. A lot of them. Some looked like an injury, and other ones were like, how'd that happen? And even Murray's, he's just running and cutting across the field, and Justin Scott Wesley was covering a kick, and he was just kind of gearing down, and I guess just to start it off with Malcolm Mitchell chest bumping on a long touchdown, and lands funny, and there goes his ACL. I mean, there was some crazy things that happened, and all the games have been just, like I said, 2 overtime games. How many games came down to the last play or the last series? Probably at least half of them, and I'm just glad I'm still standing. Anybody else? All right, thank you.